Oh, here we go. That's 98. I'm very exciting. All right, we will start because it is, here we go, that's the 100, whoopsie. Amazing, cool. We will start. Let me just make sure that it is recording because oh no, it is recording. Cool. The people that obviously can't make it in now, and then if you do need to leave and things like that, the recording will be available, which is cool. So thank you so much for joining me on a Thursday evening. I'm very excited to talk a little bit more about what I have created, show you a little bit more about it, answer any of your questions, and then show you where you can go to access it on my website if you are interested. So you won't be able to unmute yourself at all. It will all be, all your microphones are all turned off. So if you do have a question, please put it in the chat. And if it like relates explicitly to what I'm talking about, I'll answer it straight away. Otherwise, I'll leave it for the Q&A at the end. And I want to leave most of the time for that so that if there are like lots of questions, I want to be able to answer them in a timely manner. And we're not here for like 2 hours. So a little bit about myself first. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jordan. I am here based in Auckland now. I'm a teacher. I am a team leader of year 2 and 3, ICT lead teacher. I've got 2 children, a dog mum, and also my other full-time job, I suppose, making resources for my company, Mrs. Presley ICT, which is very exciting. And yeah, this is sort of like another layer of work that I really just wanted to throw in the mix because I wasn't already doing enough. I thought, why not design my own maths program, I suppose. And I'll sort of unpack that a little bit. But I do want to hear from you first because it's not just one of those sit and listen things. I know those are always really good, but some prior thinking, and you don't have to respond if you would like. I would love to hear. What are you currently using in your school, in your classroom? What type of approach? Are you doing numeracy framework, Numicon, anything? And then how do you also currently feel about maths? Because I created this as sort of like a merge of the two, I suppose, because quite a lot of my resources, especially my maths ones, typically link back to the numeracy framework project or the numeracy project. And then quite a lot of the other questions that people ask me is all around how to improve like their competency and their confidence with teaching maths. So there's definitely like a not like a lack of knowledge, but like I feel like there are such gaps from university. Like you get taught some of the math stuff, but then when you come to school, there's no actual this is what you should do. And then that also makes you feel really like hard to cater for all the students in your classrooms and things like that. And then you also, I know that so many teachers don't actually like teaching maths. So it's always really good for me hearing and seeing what you guys are using out there. Lots of hands-on stuff, horribly lost. I hear that quite a lot, definitely around like just not having a direction. And sometimes you get given a resource and then not necessarily how to use the resource. So definitely, I hope that this sort of answers some of your questions. Love maths. Woohoo, go Natalie. Yes, love it. Love seeing that. And yeah, hopefully if you have been on the fence about thinking about whether this is right for you, that this will sort of answer some of those questions and maybe be like, yep, this is what I need to get me going. So what is the program? So basically, in a really, really short snippeted version, it's a structured maths approach. Well, that's what it's called. Structured maths, providing you with like a scope and a really clear sequence of lessons to help unpack everything numberology and number strategy that students need within the first 4 years, so from year 0 up to year 3. So I wanted to include year 0 because even though students come in halfway through that year, most often we are assessing them against the year 1 standard, and yes, that's totally fine. I'm not saying there's any issues with that. Sometimes it's really great. I was having this conversation with a teacher last night, actually. She actually asked me, why does phase 1 start from the new entrant year 0? It's because I wanted them to have something that was unique and special for them, because they are still, so fresh to school, and it looks a little bit different for them. And sometimes they come in at very different levels. So that was why I started off with new entrants as having its own phase. And it's really definitely planned in terms of like a progression. And I started with thinking about a sequence of lessons and then reversed back into like a widespread scope. And it's for teachers that have no direction, that don't have the skill to think, right, I don't know sort of like where to start. I don't know what to help me with. I really need a lesson plan. And I tried to sort of think about all of the things to provide structure for teachers, but also to provide really clear teaching steps, and sort of allow for that differentiation in your own way based on like your knowledge and your students and the way that your classroom is. So as much as it is prescribed, it's also not prescribed in terms of the way you want to cater for your students and how you differentiate. So it's like that happy medium of providing you with enough information, but also allowing you to use it in a way that is really reflective of your classroom and reflective of your students and your community and what you've got going on, your other programs. You can sort of like pick and match things to suit you, really. And the first question I do want to touch on is somebody a couple of weeks ago said, have I just pulled this out of the air and produced a program, sent it out, and not have it trialed? So it was trialed in classrooms. It was trialed in classrooms in term 2, because we are now heading into term 4, I had to think. So it was trialed, given some feedback. There were case studies done with the teachers and the students that had trialed it before it has officially come as to what it is today. The only phase that has not yet to be trialed is the last phase, which I am currently writing. So it was back at the beginning, I sort of asked teachers, do they want it drip fed, so one phase at a time, or the whole lot at once? And they said each phase as it comes. So we have got currently phase 1, 2, and 3 out for teachers, which is currently behind me. And then phase 4, I'm currently writing at the moment, which is the last phase in the approach. And phase 4 is going to be trialed in classrooms before it is published as well. So I had really high hopes that it was going to be done, like really non-realistic aspirations as to when it was going to be done. And then because I made such a mess of phase 2, it kind of pushed it back a little bit. So phase 4, I am hoping the last final phase will be ready by the end of the year. And then that will give me some time to get it trialed in the classroom as well, so that it can be used and put out into the schools. So that one is coming. So I've used a wide range of things, and every program that is out there, every program that you are using, that you've commented in the chat, they all have amazing wins. They've all got perks. They've all got positive things that can work for your students. And this is in no way saying use this instead of, because this is better. Everything's got its own positives and negatives. So part of this might work for your students, but also this is really open that you can use it alongside other stuff. So one of the questions that was just there is this number only framework? It only covers number knowledge and number strategy. So there is nothing else in there around strand or any of those areas. This is solely just that, because that allows for you to incorporate all of the other amazing things you're doing in the classroom. And I don't want this to replace everything, because you've got strand, you've got your geometry, you've got your fun activities, your crafts, you've got your multiplication facts and things like that, your times tables. It is sort of like a combination. And when I sort of talk and show you through like the lesson plans and things, it is really clear how you can sort of use the chunks and use the lessons of the approach alongside everything else. And typically I have used just solely numeracy project based. This year I did use, my school used DIMIC, and that was for the beginning of the year. So I've sort of used that as well. I've used Numicon as well. I've also used Prime before, because I've worked at, multiple different schools. All of them have got their own perks and benefits. This is just something else extra that you might think, cool, this could work for our students, and sort of aligns with a more structured that's why it's called structured maths approach, because it's more structured. And like that name is fully not a creative name, but I wanted it to encompass something that is what it is, and that is a structured maths, and it's an approach. So it's not like a program. It's sort of like a way of thinking that you can use, that your students might like, and it reflects the sort of the mindset around structured literacy in terms of the repetition, the consistency, the building on the layers. This is a maths version. And so this sort of kind of came out because of all of the work around structured literacy. I've been using structured literacy for, this is my 4th year now, and I've been having so many conversations with teachers over the last year, so not just this year, but even into last year, around something similar for maths. And so many people have asked me, Jordan, are you going to write something? Jordan, are you going to write something? And then I remember it was in a meeting at school this year. Someone said, we need something that's going to be easy to implement, like a scope that we can follow, a sequence, because sometimes you just don't know what things naturally lead into the other, or what students could know. And I want to say could know is because we're not national standards based anymore. It's what you would, ideally hope students would be able to achieve. And I remember I went home that night and I was like, I'm going to make something that is going to be helpful to teachers. And that's sort of really where it came about. And then the curriculum refresh kind of really helped the direction change. And quite through this process, I've been quite vocal on Instagram and things, asking for feedback, asking for ideas, because I want it to be something that's going to be teacher based, because I obviously have my own perspective on how things are. It's always good to hear from other people. So I talked about this, got polls, spoke to teachers, asked people for feedback, to really make it something like specifically focused, something different that's not quite out there, because there are programs out there that are structured, but not structured in this particular way. So that's sort of like the difference, I suppose. And so this is sort of how it kind of came about, and it's been quite a lot of work in a short amount of time, because if you know me, you know that when I have an idea, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try and get it done like the next day, because I want to get it out, because that's just how I am. So I first started off by thinking about a sequence, and that was kind of the really easy part. I then had to map out a scope. I then, it says 3 phases. I don't know why it says 3. It's meant to be 4. There are 4 phases. And I had to break up the phases into what I saw as the key aspects. And then I created all the resources. So that's just like, it's not like it was like, poof, it just like appeared in my mind. It took me a little while to sort of like break it up into how I wanted it and how I saw it in the classroom. And the first thing that I do want to share as to how the sequence is that maybe the beginning of last year, I created, you'll see there on the left, a structured literacy sequence. So like when you have your lessons, when you're teaching structured literacy, is that sometimes you're not really sure what to do. You have all these amazing resources, but you don't really know how to sequence them. So I put this together with the help of one of the local RTLBs, and it was sort of just like my sort of like way of running my lessons. I found it worked really well. It includes all the repetition, all of the layers of the foundational things that you're building on across the sequence, right? So I took that and then basically thought, what would be a maths equivalent? So I knew from my own teaching experience that this sequence worked for me, for my students. And I then basically thought, okay, cool. So if we're reading sounds, what would be a maths equivalent? Well, you would read your numbers. What would you, if you're writing sounds, what would you write down? You would write down numbers. So that was sort of where it sort of started, was I really wanted to make a really clear sequence that you build on each lesson, that is consistent, that you are continuously doing every time you have maths, because that's what works. Then I added in the I do, we do, you do it, you do model, which is a model that I have used in a lot of my resources already. And that's sort of like the way that this is driven. You don't have to use it that way, but that's the way that I tend to work, and I think works really well, along with all the research that also backs that too. And so that's sort of how the sequence is followed through with a lesson. So you would have your lesson, that's your sequence, and it's literally, well, I tried to best match it to a maths one. And that's sort of where it all sort of came out. I put that online, I got some feedback, people shared it within their classroom, just with like a normal lesson and things, and it tended to work quite well. And so that's sort of like the essence of the program in terms of when you are running it with your students, this is the sequence you follow, and all of the resources are color matched with that sequence. So you'll see there's the blue section, all of the slides have a blue section, which match. Then there's an orange section, all the slides have an orange section, and then all of your practice questions and things are gray. That's the only part that doesn't match up, but that's where you can also review at the end. It says knowledge review, you can review and things as well. So it does all, I tried to make it all seamlessly flow so that it's really easy for somebody to pick up and think, cool, where does this start? This is what I'm going to do. So I did that, made my sequence, was like, yep, cool, fantastic. I then thought about the phases. So I split it into 4 main phases, and somebody asked me last week, why did I name it phases? I actually don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I thought it sounded lovely, so picked the word phase. Basically, it just means like a portion of the learning. So there's phase 1, which is a year 0 new entrant target, which is this one here, and they get progressively pinker, the colors, as you go on. So if you have the whole collection, you're going to have a light pink one up to a dark pink one. And pink is my favorite color, which is why it is pink. So you've got phase 1, which is year 0 new entrant, phase 2, which is year 1, phase 3, which is year 2, and then phase 4, which is the last one that I'm writing at the moment, which is year 3. So that's where I intend to stop. Now, I've had lots and lots of people ask, am I going to make it higher? I don't know. I'm not sure. I've had conversations with lots of different people, because as you go on through maths, you would hope that students, yes, they still need structure, but they would also be exposed to quite a lot of knowledge and things already, and you would have programs that work. So I don't actually have an answer whether I will continue. I think if there was a lot of interest and a lot of like evidence to show that this is a huge success, then that would prompt me to make more. So this is solely based at the moment for year 0 up to year 3. And that matches specifically, please go to year 4, 5, 6. I'll do. I just need more time in the day, and then I can do it. Maybe in the big school holidays. No, okay, I don't know. I've got to write phase 4 first. Yeah, and so it maps back to the curriculum refresh. So if your school was wanting to specifically link back to that, it can be matched to it. So the phase 1 year 0 matches up to the 6-month check mark on the curriculum refresh, and I should have had that up ready so I can show you, but I don't, so I do apologize for that. So if you Google curriculum refresh and bring it up on your screen, the phase 1 matches up to the 6-month mark, and then it goes on from there. So it basically targets and will go through what is expected, but also provide like a really clear progress points, layered foundation of all of the skills within that. So how do you use it? So you've got your sequence, which you would implement in your lessons. So each phase, so this is a phase, this is phase 1, it's broken into 4 chunks. So 4, I want to say like term-based chunks, but you don't have to do them within a term. And that's the great thing about this, is that it is so flexible for you to incorporate into anything else you're doing. There's no key time frames. So there's not, you must spend this long on this chunk and this long on this lesson. It's really open to, if your students have got it, fantastic. Don't dwell on it, move on to the next thing. If your students need time to go back and reflect, cool, you've got that. Go back. It's really open for you to take in and use with your students, which is the most important part. So each phase is broken into 4 chunks, and within those chunks, they're broken down into lessons. And so each lesson, so there's between 26 and 29 lessons in each phase. They come with a plan, with teaching slides, with resources, with worksheets. So if I just flick to a page here, This is you can't really see lesson plan there, and then that's like an example of a worksheet. So the worksheets, they're called checks because they're not just a worksheet. They could be a check-in of the learning. They could be an exit activity. You could take a photo and upload it onto Seesaw and make it a digital activity. You could just have it as a straight worksheet. You could do it as a combined classroom group activity. Whatever you want to do, they're flexible for you to use within your classroom. So it progresses through, and at the front of the book, it does show you sort of like the overview. So this is going to be really hard to see, but I'll show you when I bring up an example. It's got the 4 chunks there and sort of shows you what will be taught within the whole phase. And then from there, it's broken down even further as to within each chunk. So I tried to make it as clear as possible, bigger, wider picture, and then really narrowed in. And it goes between number knowledge and number strategy, and it sort of repeats, and every lesson builds on the next by having its warm-up practice the last lesson. So if you're on lesson 2 for the week, say, your warm-up will then be lesson 1 activities. So they're still learning new information, but also practicing past learning too. And it's always building on so that they're not just like, oh, what was it that we did 3 weeks ago? It's continually practicing, coming back, learning. You can go back and refresh with the teaching slides at any time. You can give the teaching slides as hotspots, as warm-up activities. It's really sort of just there for you to utilize the best that you can. Alongside it comes with assessments as well. So that was a big thing that people asked for. I basically released phase 1 and phase 2, and people were like, amazing, where's the assessment? So I sort of had to quickly put something together, and they're really just, I want to call them assessment because they are, but they're also not at the same time. So they can be used as like a starting point. If you're not sure where your students' gaps are, you could give them the assessment at the beginning and be like, cool, amazing, let's see how you go. And then you could group students based on that. You could give them as pre-chunk tests and then post-chunk tests. So you could give them a test, the chunk 1 test, teach them chunk 1, do the post-test, see how much they improved, praise them, be like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing, go on to the next chunk. You could do them as an end-of-year assessment. You could do it as a beginning end-of-year assessment. However you want, there's something there for you. And it's 1 assessment for the whole chunk. So you'll see there in that middle picture there's the 4 pictures. So 4 phases, 4 assessments. And there's no like one big combined assessment. Someone asked that if I could make like one giant assessment that could be like an end of year sort of like, not attestation, but like an end of year sort of like look in. I don't really know if I'm into that, maybe, but I think that for the moment that the 4 assessments that are there can give you a really good starting point as to being like, cool, these are the gaps. So say you have a bunch of new entrants starting, you could give them this and be like, cool, I need to work on ordering numbers, I need to work on, making sets to 10. Fantastic. Then your first teaching points. You could check in again at the end and then move on. So really great. They all come with teaching slides. The teaching slides are in PowerPoint mode, but you can drag that into your Google Slides and it will convert it to a Google Slide mode. So they are a PowerPoint file, but you just drag that into Google to upload that, and it automatically converts it. And every lesson has matching teaching slides. So there's no, it's all included. You don't have to go away and like find your own teaching points. They're all there. How you use those teaching points is totally up to you. So whether you want to add on extra things, provide other examples, totally cool. They're just there for those teachers that are like, right, I don't know how to teach this. Where can I start? This is going to be my starting point. So it's helping you feel confident in your delivery as well, and also giving students something to look at, an example to start with, some questions to sort of prompt their thinking, all while helping them learn maths. And they come with, what else they come with? They come with other anchor charts. So when you're like, if you're using it as like a whole class approach, you can have one of the anchor charts up, which unpacks like the learning intention for the week. So say you're doing ordering numbers, you can have the ordering numbers anchor chart up or in the front of the modeling book so that you're like, cool, what are we learning about this week? Ordering numbers, fantastic. How do we do that? let's brainstorm our success criteria. So it's all sort of there. I try to think of everything that teachers would need to sort of make it successful. And if you are using the program and you think, oh, I need this, or I would like this, could you think about this? You are welcome to message me anytime and be like, cool, I need this as well, or could you work on this? Because that's where the assessments came from. That came from the teachers wanting something. So always open. The feedback from people so far, these are reviews from teachers already using the program. So this is not just me being like, I think it's great. These are from teachers, a variety from people who have purchased on the website, people who have posted their feedback on Facebook page, some messages as well around using the program already. And it has been going for, I want to say like 7 weeks. It's been live and being used in classrooms. So it would be really interesting at the end of the year to see how those students have gone. And I am looking at setting up like a case study group of teachers. So if you have been using it and you're like, oh, I'd love to be part of this case study, please email me to let me know so that I can get more data. Because it's so new, I can't really attest to how well it's gone because it has only been really out there for like 7 weeks, 8 weeks. Ask me this time next year, I'll totally have all the data to give you. So if that's one of your questions that school has asked, how effective is it? What's the achievement rate like if that's what you're driven by? I don't have those numbers currently at the moment, but the feedback from the teachers that have been using it has been overwhelmingly positive. I have not had any negative feedback about it yet. Negative feedback comes with everything though, so I'm not I take that as like a opportunity to work on the approach, to highlight any gaps, to make it even more better for teachers. So definitely, I'm very excited to see it in the classroom, more teachers using it. I've used it in my own classroom. So I do teach year 3 students. So for some of my groups, I have used the lessons, obviously the ones that match in based on learning and needs. And my kids have loved it. So I told them right at the beginning, I said, I've been working on a new maths resource, and I was sort of trying to like tell them it, but like not. And then we sort of did a couple of lessons, and then one of my students was like, is this what you were telling us about the other day? And I was like, yeah, like, what do you think? Give me some feedback. And my kids were like, oh, I liked it. And then they sort of knew because I do structured literacy as well. They were like, oh, it's like that in terms of the revision aspects, which is really cool. So they could notice that, which was a really great opportunity for me as well to reflect on and think, cool, this is like student feedback. Of course, they're biased because they're my students, but I have had teachers message me pictures, show me learning improvement things so far as well, which is fantastic. So I do want to show you more of the resource before Q&A time, because I am mindful that that is 27 minutes of me talking. And I want to show you how, just like a preview kind of, there is sample packs. So let me show you on the website first. So let me just jump to the website. So here's the website where all the resources are. A beautiful picture of me there. So if you scroll down, you'll see that there are the 3 sample packs. So if you want to have a look and sample what it would look like in your screen, print it off, have a go, there's a sample pack there for each phase. So it's only one lesson and it's only one check for each lesson, so you don't get the whole part, and it does have sample pack through it. But if you are interested in having a look, downloading it to make sure it's right for you, those are there and those are free to download. And then if you scroll down, you'll see it's done in the phases. So there are 2 ways to get the resource. There is the physical resource, which is this one here. You get the book. It comes to you delivered in the mail in a beautiful pink package. Unless you order more than one, then yours is brown paper. I'm sorry. So I have had someone ask me, why don't I have pink shipping paper? I am trying because it's all about the pink, which shouldn't be the focus, but of course it is because pink is beautiful. So if you buy the physical version, you get the digital version too, because I know some people like to have the physical book to read through, but then they like to print off worksheets rather than photocopying. So if you get a physical version like this, you get the digital version sent to you. You can, however, just get the digital version. They are there. You'll see them both here. This one here says digital, which is the digital version only. or you can get the physical version, which comes with the digital. Because I know what people are like. Sometimes I like to have something to read through, but then sometimes I just want to print out what I need and then, or convert what I need. And so that's why I like having that there. Scroll down and there's phase 2. Now, if you don't know the drama about phase 2 was just the bane of my existence. It was the most hectic thing I have had to put together. So there is a print error version. So what I did was I got phase 2 printed and then realized there was a massive error in it, which involved the contents page, which is kind of one of the most important parts. So I had to pause the printing from the company. They then gave me what they'd printed and then printed it correctly. So that was a huge learning curve for me in terms of printing something. It was a very costly mistake, but that's all right. So there is a print error of phase 2 as well. So the errors are really clearly defined and told where they are. They're like really minor things, but enough that I was like, I cannot send this out. I am going to redo it. So that one there's for phase 2, and then scrolling down phase 3, which I only actually got in. It was on Tuesday or Wednesday of the week just gone. So I've only just got the stock for phase 3, which is very exciting. So that one is the one that's live now and again available in physical and digital. And then if you scroll down, the assessments are down there as well. So these ones here you just download and access. They're all free to use. So even if you're not wanting to use the program and you just want to have a look at the assessments, you can just download them now and just have a look through them. So that's there. And there's also some frequently asked questions there at the bottom, which some of them might turn up in the Q&A tonight. So I just want to run you through really quickly what it looks like. So let's come to this one here. So here's an example of what a lesson plan looks like. So it's got your focus, your learning intentions, some really rough success criteria. The first version I actually put out to teachers to trial, I didn't actually include any success criteria. And people were like, can we just have something to just use if we're not sure, or if you aren't quite into co-constructing with students yet? There are some there. You're welcome to create your own though, of course. It tells you your materials you needed, what you can do for your warm-up, your explicit teaching. It talks about things that you should note, a knowledge review, and then differentiation. A question I get asked is around materials. So when the program first went out, people were like, what do I need to use? It's whatever you've got in your classroom. I didn't want to specifically write down materials for you then to have to go and buy a whole lot of stuff. It's really what you've got in your classroom you use to enhance your lesson. If you've got cubes, fantastic. If you've got counters only, fantastic. It's what you've got that you can match in with teaching the lesson. So each lesson has a lesson plan like this, and then you have the attached and matching lesson checks afterwards. So this one here is a preview of the phase 3. And so this is the cover page that I'm showing you here. So in phase 3, which is the year 2, in chunk 1, this is what it covers. So it covers number, forward sequence, back sequence, ordering numbers, comparing numbers, place value, and skip counting. So all of that is in your first chunk. And then these are the matching slides. So these are all not editable. So you cannot edit anything. You can, of course, write over top, but you can't actually tutu with the background and stuff. So you've got, see what I mean by the color match? So these are all your like review stuff. So you're saying some numbers, and these are all numbers that you've focused on or that you're building knowledge of that they have previously experienced before. So they're not introducing new numbers of things that they're like, so say they're learning only numbers to 10 and you're showing them numbers up to 50. It's building on the skill from before. You're then giving them some numbers to write down, having an activity before you teach the learning. And then there's all of the examples that you can flick through. You can choose the ones that are relevant, whether you're focusing going over 100, whether you're focusing going over a 10, or whether you're focusing just straight forward number word sequence. And so they're all there. You would literally just click on the slide, show it, You then as the teacher can model, get them to join in with you. They could have a whiteboard, write the answers down. They could have their books to write the answers down. It's however you really want to use it. It's really flexible. So quite often I get my kids to tell me a number. So I'll be like, tell me a number between like 50 and like 89. And a kid might be like 73. And then I'll find the slide that's that matching one. And then that's the number that we do. So you can get kids to like join in. You of course can make your own numbers up as well to use. It's really just to give you the information, but also the flexibility to take it and work with it with your classroom setting. And then obviously you'd have the lesson. So this is your explicit teaching. You might be modeling this on your TV or on your whiteboard or whatever you've got going on. And then at the end of that, you would send them off with a check maybe. You might get them to continue counting on as high as they can or continue counting on for like the next 20 or something. And then you would have your groups. So it's really however you see fit. And I know one of the questions that was asked is, how do you actually teach this? And I do make a point of talking about that. It's on page VII, whatever that is in Roman numbers, 7, VII 567, and it tells you that there's 2 ways of using the approach. You can use the approach in a whole class setting, which is what I want, how I sort of like envisioned it being. You'd have your whole class teaching of a concept. You then would have groups based on differentiation and needs. You might have some groups working on a higher lesson or a lower lesson than the one that you're targeting them at the class. And so that's giving them all the same sort of knowledge. You're front footing everything. You might be having some high ceiling stakes for some of your students that might be a little bit behind, but then also keeping everybody on par, having the knowledge there. So you can teach it whole class. You can also teach it group class. So say, for example, you might do your assessment. You might find you've got 4 groups of students. And then you would have in your group teaching time, you would run this program. So this would be your group teaching. So say you've got one group focusing on forward number counting. Fantastic. This is what you would do. It's all here. You'd follow the lesson plan and run this session. And then your whole class teaching could just be hotspots from your assessment, or your whole class teaching could be other fun, cool as activities that you've got because teachers are amazing. So I think that was all in terms of showing you the resource. Let me just check back my slides to make sure. Oh, okay, fantastic. Question and answer time. So I don't know if I've answered all your questions, or if you do have a specific question, you're welcome to put it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to awkwardly just start going over the main amazing points for the last like 10, 15 minutes. So let's just scroll back and make sure that there's nothing I have missed. So yeah, what year levels will phase 4 cover? Phase 4 will cover up to year 3. And that's just because that's the first sort of curriculum refresh chunk, I suppose, that I've looked at. And then maybe I will get to the other year levels. I would love to. It just depends on time, really. If we purchase this, will we be able to access any updates you make, especially as it's still so new? Yeah, 100%. So everything that's like printed and shipped and stuff isn't going to get updated. There's no real updates that I want to make to it. It's fantastic how I see it. It would just be like adding other things on. So another thing, sorry, that I have not shown you is that it comes with a planner template too. And the planner template has the drop down parts all in. Oh, I wonder if I can quickly. Let's just see. No, I don't think I have it on my laptop. It's got all the drop down planner learning intentions already inbuilt into it. So if you are a Google Sheets user, it comes with a planning template too for you to use, and it's got all of the lessons inbuilt into it, and you just literally use that to plan with. So it's all inbuilt. I made that specifically for some teachers that were like, do you have a planner template? Yes, I do. So that's also included as well. Structured literacy, do we use at school? We're using the Little Learners Love Literacy program at the school that I'm at the moment, but all schools are different, and this obviously is its own sort of approach based on my sequence that I made. So the sequence that I made back on the slides, it's sort of linked to that, and that's how I see it. How much, please? So this one here, the book, I gave it out to 2 teachers to be like, what would be a great price? So it's $80, and you get the physical version and the digital version, and the digital version is just $50. You do have to pay for shipping as well, though. So shipping is on top based, and it's all done based on weight. It's not done based on my steep markup. For me to send one of these rural, it's $16.50 for one. So it just gives you like an insight as to the price of shipping. Shipping is crazy. And so the more you buy, the steeper the shipping prices. I'm sorry. So one order I sent out to a rural school the other day, the shipping was like $50, unfortunately, because there were so many in it and the box was so heavy. So that's not a me price. That's an NZ Post price. When will you get Afterpay? I'm sorry, my website host that I have used for years, and now because I'm so far down the track of my website, it's actually too hard for me to change website hosts. My website host does not have Afterpay. It's one of the ones on the list that's not used. So I can't ever have Afterpay, I'm sorry. But if you do want to do like a pay it off option, I can set something up through Stripe for you, and then it automatically gets taken out of your account or the card charged, like Afterpay. So it's not Afterpay, but it's like a go around version. So it's what I do for the Tribe membership as well. Is that you can get access to the Tribe membership through your Afterpay payments, but it's not Afterpay. It's a payment thing done through Stripe, which is the financial provider thing that I use. That wasn't the right word. And one other thing I do want to just mention is that if you are a Tribe membership member, this is not included. So because this is such a special standalone resource, it's not covered by any discount codes. It will never be on promo price. It is the price. The price will not increase. That's the price. And it's not included in any of the Tribe memberships, unfortunately, because people have already tried and been like, it's not working, it's not covered. It's its own sort of special thing, and that's just because of the uniqueness to it. I'm moving skills next term. I'm going to be teaching new entrants 1 and 2. What books would you recommend getting? Oh, good question. I suppose it really depends on your students. Like, all of the phase 1 stuff is sort of mentioned in phase 2, but it's not as in-depth. So obviously each phase is in-depth for that phase. So if you've got students that are year 0 that will be needing some more specific phase 1 lessons, then my ideal recommendation would be 1 for each. But if you think that you can get away with not having the phase 1, then you could just get phase 2 and phase 3. But again, it's really up to you and your students and what you've got going on in the classroom, I suppose, and sort of like your needs and like next best steps. Sorry, there was a question about how do I envisage using this with another program example, Numicon. I haven't really thought about using it alongside any other programs because I think that this can give you enough coverage in terms of number on its own. I don't have an answer for that, but again, like anything else, it's pick and choose what works for your students, what you can differentiate with, how you want to use it, I suppose. I would have to come back to a question like that once I've got obviously more data and more feedback from teachers about how they've been using it and what they've been using alongside. So if you are wanting to be part of the case study, that would be one of the things that I'd be thinking about as well. So yeah, really sorry, I don't actually have an answer for that, but hopefully that can be something I can come back to in say 6 months. When do you expect phase 4 to be completed? My non-realistic aspirations was the holidays. That's not going to happen because I'm still only up to finalizing the chunks. I was under a little bit of a dilemma, and I went and sought some feedback from, I think it was like 80 year 3 teachers around the actual chunks for phase 4 itself. So I'm aiming for the end of the year. I think I'd be really upset if I didn't have it done by then. So worst case scenario is end of the year. best case scenario is sometime in term 4. I don't actually have a date, sorry, because I have to write it. So the thing that I had with all of the phase 1 to phase 3 is because they were trialed, I already had some sort of like the chunk of the learning already done. Phase 4 has not been trialed. I don't have anything already there. It's a starting from scratch one. So that one's going to take the longest to have ready. So hopefully end of the year, fingers crossed. How long do you expect to spend on the lessons? With structured literacy, we keep them quick to avoid cognitive overload. So are these quick lessons as well? Totally, it can be. It just depends on your class. So all of that blue section, the first stuff, I envision that being like 5-10 minutes tops. You'd have, if you're running whole class, you'd have them on the mat, you'd be going through it. You might have a song to begin with to get them moving, doing your reading the numbers, saying the numbers, writing down some numbers, and then you do your warm-up activity, and then you might break them off into groups for teaching. So definitely not like long and cumbersome, let's just sit on the mat for like 45 minutes, just like your normal maths. And it really just, it's how you want to use it to fit in with your classroom dynamics as well. And that's why there is no time frame on how long it should take. There's a suggested time frame. So like one of the lessons, it says suggested teaching time frame 2 to 4 lessons. So you might have it sorted in 2 lessons, so 2 days, or you might have it like a whole week. So it really just depends on your students and on you as well. How many phases are you going to publish? 4 at the moment, but we'll see. I mean, if it's really successful and there's a huge cry for it to go out to year 4, 5, and 6, then I'll make some more. But at the moment, it is only year 0 to 3 at the moment. In the digital version, will you hyperlink the slides to the lesson plan? Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point. I could do. That's a good point. I will think about that one. It's because the resource is so big to download. So if you have just the digital version, it is such a mish to download because it is so huge, because it comes with every single slide deck. It comes with all of the teaching resources, plus it comes with the actual PDF of the book itself. And like this book, the phase 2 is the biggest. It's like 360 pages or something, so it's quite chunky. So I definitely will add that on my list of things to think about, though. That's a great suggestion. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is a really good question, and this question I have addressed already on Instagram a couple of times. One purchase is one teacher's license. So if I buy this is for me. I cannot then go and take it to my school, upload the slides, and give the slides out to everyone in my team and be like, let's all share. It goes against my copyright policies. It goes against the digital millennium rights. It goes against the licenses that I have set up. So if you have just like any other resource, if you download it if you purchase it for one person, it's for that one person. And I think you'll find if you go and talk to any resource maker, and this is not just me, this is any resource maker, is that it's one person. So if you're in a team of 3, you would need 3 copies. I know of resource content makers in New Zealand that have approached schools about sharing their resources that are shared across multiple people when only one person has downloaded it. So it is something that I know people are cracking down on, and people will take action against teachers and schools that are doing that. So if you are a school and you're wanting to purchase the approach, I do a bulk purchase discount. So that's the only way you can get a discount, is if you're purchasing it, say, for a team or a group of teachers. You can get a discount as well on that to make it more sort of like ease at cost, because $80 if you're buying, say, 10, then add on shipping. So it is one license is for one person. Sorry. But it's just to keep it, because it is so unique. And just like any other resource, if I download and purchase a resource from Teachers Pay Teachers, say, for example, or from Top Teaching Tasks, I then can't go and upload that and share that, because that breaches her copyright policy. Same sort of thing. So it's one license, one download for one person. The Google Planner is included in the resource. So when you get the resource, you'll get a confirmation email that your order has been shipped, and then you'll get sent an extra email after that, and it has the link to the digital version and then a link to all the teaching resources. And in the teaching resources is the Google Planner. So you get sent the link to it, you download it, click on the link, and it brings it up in Google Sheets. You make a copy of that template, and then you're good to go. Where can we find what the errors are in phase 2 book, please? And thank you. It's on the website. So if I come back over to here, if you scroll down here, print error here. So this is the print error book. If you click on that, it will show you at the bottom where the errors are. It tells you which pages they are. So I have not sent phase 2 out with errors. It was phase 2 was paused, and then people have said that they would be interested in buying it at a cheaper price for having errors, so that's why it was uploaded as well. And I do know of a school that went and purchased, so they've got the resource, the normal beautiful copy, and then they also have the print error copy for teachers to take home and write on or have as their own individual copy. Because it is so much significantly cheaper, they can, you know, have like an extra book or a second book or like a home book and a school book, so you don't have to lug them around because they are like quite bulky. Once you've got all three, it's over the 5 kilo mark for shipping, so that's always fun as well. Interested to know why number before and number after weren't their own key focus within a chunk. Yeah, good question. I did think about that. And I suppose the conversations from that I had with the trial teachers is that it naturally falls into like the discussion and things that you're doing in your classroom. And when you're talking about forward number word sequence, or even when you're talking about number knowledge and building number knowledge around your numbers, is sometimes you just naturally have a conversation about before and after then. So I did think about having it, but then it automatically falls back into the numeracy project as well. And I'm not looking to duplicate anything. This is its own standalone thing. And so that's where you as the teacher would make point of explicitly teaching before and after when you're doing your sequencing. And yeah, that's pretty much the reason why I didn't have it. And I did hum and ha over it, and I did have some discussions about it with teachers. But I mean, everything's got things that it's going to be that are going to work really well, and some things that you will need to go and further talk about and provide understanding for your students. Oh, I'm not meant to go far to that. Let me just keep going. I've still got some more questions. The lesson you showed us didn't have the color coding page. No, so the color coding page is, that's right, the one. So let me just scroll back to show you the color coding page. It was on the slides, but let me just scroll. This is the book here. So this, so the blue part here matches the blue part on the slides. The orange part matches the orange part on the slides. And then the gray matches the gray. So that's how a color code matches to your slides. Let me just bring up this here. There, so it's blue and orange to match. How long is your maths lesson each day? So my personal maths lesson is about 50 minutes. I see 2 to 3 workshops. So because I teach you 3, we do workshops. And because I have not yet made phase 4, I can't trial that with my class because I don't have anything to trial. What I have trialed though is aspects of phase 3 with my students, and got some stuff around that in terms of like a good lesson length and things like that, and from discussions that I've had with other people that are using it. But like if you're using it for whole class teaching, group teaching, you might have like 2 groups. I wouldn't say any more than like 45 minutes, but again, it just depends on how much you talk for, what else you got going on, interruptions, things like that, getting your resources prepared and stuff like that. Any chance you'll do in-class videos of you teaching some of the lessons? Yes, I have got one. I did one right before the holidays. I'm smiling because of the position I put my camera in. It actually just films like half the back of my head. So I have that there. I am more than happy to share that if you don't mind looking at the back of my head. I thought I had it in a really great spot. It got like the TV, and then when I sat in my chair, I actually blocked the view. So I am more than happy to put that online. Maybe I'll make its own YouTube channel, maybe to have like the videos. But what I want to do in term 4 is do some more videos. I have a class that I know of that is using the phase 1. So I've already spoken to the teacher, and I've asked if I can come in and sort of do some videos of her teaching, or me teach and then film me doing that with the class. So I definitely, that isn't on my radar of things to do. And also, if there are teachers part of the focus study as well, the case study, then I'll also be asking some of them to do some filming too, if they're okay with that and their students are fine, and confidentiality around students and things like that. Let's just see, any other questions? When do you get time to sleep? At nighttime. There was a question though that I'm pretty sure I just missed. Maybe it was deleted, I'm not sure. It was around the print era one, but that's okay. So that is almost a whole hour. So I did envision this only being short, but I think just because like some of the questions, or all of the questions, are such meaningful, important questions, is that, how do you know where to start with, last question, how do you know where to start within the phase? How do you know where to start within the phase? I guess it depends on if you've done the assessment. Best practice, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on, you can start at the beginning and go through, and so then you'd like know whether, you know, the first lesson, whether they know what they're doing, you'd move on to the next one straight away. You can do the assessment to check in, you could have conversations, you could have like sort of workshops, really fluid. Yeah, it just depends on how you like, what you want to do in your classroom, really. And because it's so new, I can't be like, this is the best place to start. I don't have that data or that information yet, and so it's really just go and have a try and see how you go, and use it to help give you a little bit more structure with your class, with the students, with your maths lessons, and sort of go from there. Does the print era one come with the digital resources? Only so there's 2 versions of the print era. There's the print era that's just the book, and then there's the print era with the digital resources. So there's the 2 versions, because some people just wanted the extra book, and some people wanted the whole program, but they wanted the whole program with the print era book, which is totally fine, all good. It is significantly less in price, so it does include that. You'll just see that at the bottom there, there's like an option to add on the digital stuff as well, so that's all there. And does every phase have assessments? Yes, so there are the 3 at the bottom, the 3 assessments here: phase 1 assessment, phase 2 assessment, phase 3 assessment, and then obviously once phase 4 is written, phase 4 will be on there as well. So yeah, it is still new. I am still trying to actively get it out as fast as I can, but I do obviously have a full-time job as well. So, and phase 4, I want to make sure it really is just as amazing as everything else. So yeah, that's why it's going to be a little bit slower, but I am trying my best to get it out as fast as I can. Cool. So thank you so much for coming along. I hope this has answered your questions, shared a little bit more, heard me ramble on about stuff. And this recording will be uploaded onto my website to talk about it. And if you are wanting to message me about how to purchase and stuff, I can send you the links. There's the bulk discount. I can invoice schools. Yeah, I am just really, really thankful that you guys have all come along and asked all the questions to get me to share a little bit more about it. And yeah, I just am really, really thankful and really excited. So thank you so much for coming, for being here. I really appreciate all your feedback, all your questions. And yeah, any question, anything, just message me, and yeah, I'll answer them for you. Yeah, amazing. I'll stay on for 1 more minute just in case there's any absolute last minute questions. But otherwise, yeah, feel free to message me the questions through on email, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'll come back at you with the answers as quickly as I can. Cool. Amazing. Thank you so much. You guys are so fantastic. I'm going to finish off. Where is my recording? Because I need to stop my recording.